Hello everyone, how you folks doing? My name is Armando. Another episode of Unsolved Murder. This is this Unsolved Murder. We travel all the way to Hilo, Hawaii, on the Big Island. And in this case, this is the unsolved murder of Lynn Ebisuzaki. Pretty girl. She was 26 years old and worked in the business office at Miko Meats at the time of her death. And she was also active in church at Kinoole Baptist Church in Hilo, Hawaii. And it all happened on May 1st of 1987, so we're talking about, 37 years ago. And this was at approximately 9:15 p.m. was when Lynn Ebisuzaki, age 26, walked out of a residence that she was visiting in the 500 block of Kanoilehua Avenue near the airport in South Hilo. I'm kind of familiar with that area. I think I've been there several times, and that was on a Friday evening. And when persons in the home realized that she had not returned, they searched the areas surrounding the residence but could not find her, and so they called the police. Now the responding officers expanded the search area and located Ebisuzaki's body in the bushes a few hundred feet away from the residence. Okay, so they had searched the property and adjoining parcels and eventually coming across the lifeless body of a young woman. Ebisuzaki had been fatally stabbed, and her manner of death was ruled a homicide. But all these years later, her killer has never been found, so it's been unsolved. It's an unsolved murder. Ebisuzaki was observed to be bleeding from an apparent stab wound. An autopsy confirmed that she died as a result of being stabbed, and her death was ruled a homicide. Now, they didn't mention anything about her being raped or anything like that, or if any of her belongings stolen, her purse or anything like. Nothing was mentioned. The cops are they said the crime, they don't tell too much details about the crime scene because they said only, and they're keeping it hush hush because they said only the person who did the crime really knows the details. Now, Lynn was not wrapped up in any illegal activities. She also had no known enemies. Everyone spoke very highly of her, and she spent the majority of her time as a youth leader at a church. She was a very respectable girl. So back then in the late 1980s, people didn't have to lock their doors, and also crime wasn't as rampant. And that's according to the detective Derek Morimoto. That's what he said. And so, you gotta think, well, she was found at her boyfriend's house at the time, so you would wonder if he was ever a suspect. And detective said the boyfriend was investigated at the time. However, there isn't enough evidence to positively identify him as a suspect. Okay, now they have a composite sketch. I don't know where they got that from, but they have a composite sketch depicting an unknown male who's a person of interest in the 1987 murder in Hilo. Now, you gotta remember, this was 37 years ago, so you gotta kind of think this guy is 37 years older. You know, he's an older person now, so it probably looks nothing like that picture in a sketch, or you gotta age it to match it to today's, what he would look like today. Now, sadly, Lynn's parents passed away without knowing who killed her daughter. Now, if anybody knows, or tipsters who prefer to remain anonymous, you may call the Island-wide Crime Stoppers number at 961-8300, and you may be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Now, Crime Stoppers is a volunteer program run by ordinary citizens who want to keep their community safe. Crime Stoppers does not record calls or subscribe to any caller ID service. All Crime Stopper information is kept confidential. Okay, so if you know anything about this unsolved murder of Lynn Ebisuzaki, please call that number, 961-8300, and let's get this unsolved case solved. Sadly, there's too many unsolved cases nowadays. A lot of them come from the 80s. Back then they didn't have much DNA technology that they have today, and so that's it's a lot different today. But back then they didn't have it. So anyway, mahalo for watching, and ahui ho.